right, welcome to Journey to the Stage, where we highlight current projects, but always start at the beginning of the artist's journey. I'm Brian Fraser, and I'm so glad you've joined the discussion today. Before we get started, please consider sharing this on with your friends. Subscribe or follow wherever you tune in, and leaving a kind review or some stars is always appreciated. I'm excited today to have as my special guest Isa Holliday, who is the lead vocalist and bassist for a band I absolutely love, Belgium's own Slow Crush. Slow Crush has a new album out called Hush, which I love. Isa, welcome to Journey to the Stage.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
Yeah, I'm glad this worked out. Now, you guys are touring the U.S. right now. You're a long way from home. How is the tour going so far?
It's a long tour, but it's as rewarding as it is tiring. And that makes it sound all like a downer, but we're having an absolute blast. Honestly, we're just very excited to be back in the States. The enthusiasm and engagement that we're seeing from the crowds is amazing. So right now we've just arrived on the West Coast in California, so we're playing San Diego tomorrow. Nice. And yeah, we're just very, very excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, it's so cool. Well, I discovered you guys back in 2019. There was an ad that popped up that showed you guys were coming to Central California, and I wasn't familiar with your music then, so I looked you guys up. And that's when you were touring to support Aurora, which was your current album then. And as soon as I hit play, I sat back in my chair and I let that album just wrap around me. And I've been a fan ever since. I just absolutely love that album. So as we go through our chat, we're going to play a couple songs from the new album Hush and learn a little bit about the band. So share with us about how Slow Crush started making music together.
Well, we've just been a bunch of friends for forever. We've gone through a couple of lineup changes since the band formed in about the end of 2015, 2016, sort of that time period. But it was always started with a group of friends who had played music together in various shapes and forms ever since high school. And after Yella and myself had been sort of out of playing music for a while, we just got in touch with our friend Steve, the drummer at the time, and Jan, the guitar player, wanting to try out something new. So we'd all played in hardcore bands and punk bands for a long time, and we just wanted to try something a little different, go a little bit more sort of 90s inspired indie, I suppose, but still keep the heaviness that we were used to playing, and combine that into what became Slow Crush.
Now, as you were growing up and developing your own musical tastes and things, like what kind of bands were you into?
I grew up partially in the UK, and then I moved to Belgium when I was in my formative years, I suppose.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering where your accent was from.
Yeah, it was never really the intent that my family would stay in Belgium for very long. So they put me in a British school full of snobby British children. so like my music taste was formed with whatever was popular in the UK at the time, and not so much what was popular in Belgium, I suppose. So it was a lot of Britpop and indie, and I think for the guys a little bit similar, but maybe more punk and hardcore. But yeah, Smashing Pumpkins was always played, I think, in on all of our radios, bands of that era. So yeah, Beastie Boys, Deftones, and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there was some great music in that genre back then. And, I know in music, sometimes labels can be helpful, but also unhelpful. Mm-hmm. And I've read lots of descriptions of people trying to, I guess, come up with what your sound is. How would you describe the sound of Slow Crush?
Yeah, that's a really tricky one, I think, because I think it's evident that all of our different sort of musical backgrounds are brought forward in the style of music that we play, and it makes it hard to kind of pinpoint a particular genre that we belong in. I think that the most evident, of course, or the one that gets pinned on us the most is shoegaze, because of the combination of soft vocals and the wall of guitars and noise from all of the effects that go on in the instrumentation. But there are a lot more elements that's come through, I find. That we've sometimes been compared to the Melvins even. So yeah, that there is like the sort of threatening rhythm section, I suppose. The drum and bass combined has a more substantial sort of doomy impediment to it that is perhaps not typical of all shoegaze. And then also we kind of have that dream poppy style going on as well, with the combination of the vocals, the etherealism. So yeah, it's just a whole heap of stuff, and in the end, the honest sort of genre that we're playing is just music that we enjoy. So it doesn't really need a label. In our mind, it doesn't need a label, but of course, if somebody's just looking at a CD in a store or a vinyl on a table, they may need some more convincing to pick it up and actually spin it.
We'll see, but in both for Aurora and Hush, the covers are very well done. So to me, cover art always means something. So hopefully that will be more compelling for people. So this is what I read on your guys' Bandcamp page, and I thought it was pretty well written. It describes you guys, and maybe you wrote this, a compelling, abrasive shoegaze band dealing with the aesthetics of contrasting sounds, heavy like a gloomy dream, yet soothingly vibrant. The vulnerable, soft floating voice of Manchester's Isa Holliday underneath layers of grungy, shoegaze-soaked noise pop, seeking shelter from a, we'll say, messed up world.
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty apt description for those, a lot of people maybe aren't familiar with shoegaze type rock. It is obviously very guitar driven with a lot of effects, and the vocals, you're right, that those high vocals kind of over the top, very swirling and dreamlike. And I was describing Hush to somebody, and I said it's beauty but with a ragged edge. And I thought that was the best I could do to describe it, because to me, there's so much beauty there, but there is a little bit of a raggedness, a little bit of a darker tone to it, which I love. I love that contrast.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just in general, you can't have happiness without sadness. You can't have light without dark, and it is a balance that needs to be found in life, I suppose, as well as in music. So, and I think that is what makes our music so encompassing. I think that also helps sort of draw the listener in and to be completely engaged what we're trying to share with you. So
very well said. So let's play the song Hush. It's the title track on the album of the same name, of course, and then we'll talk about it when it's done. So to me, this song is very, very emotive, and I love the fact that it's over 6 minutes long. I think that is really, I applaud you guys for having, a number of tracks, I think 3 or 4 that are over 5 minutes. I really appreciate a band who's going to create something that long, because it's kind of almost countercultural in music where everything is, the 2 or 3 minute pop song. But I think when you have a song of that length, it really allows you to tell a deeper story, to take your listener on a sonic journey with you. What can you tell us about the writing of the title track, Hush?
I think with all of our songs, it kind of came organically, and I think, like you said, we're definitely not a band that wants to try and write pop songs. So the 3 minute pointer mark isn't something that we strive for. And I think you also explained it impeccably, that the album, the whole album Hush, was intended to come across as a story, as a journey that we take the listener on. I suppose the way that Hush is composed is a little bit like a sort of mini slow crush opera in a way.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
It does travel through a few different emotions, sort of bursting in when the vocals come in. The song sort of blooms open, and then softens down again to then burst open again. So it is a little kind of escape that we take the listener on.
Well, even as I've watched, I haven't seen you guys live yet, but when I watch you perform, like on the AB sessions, which I encourage everybody to check out, you can get them on the Bandcamp page, but also on YouTube, the videos. As a performer, you really are lost in the moment. Are you feeling the emotion of those songs as you're performing them live?
Absolutely. I think that is something that has helped me a lot as a musician. I'm not the most outgoing person in person. I've always been quite shy even growing up. It is something that kind of gives me comfort to go on stage and just sort of only think about the music I'm playing and
Mm-hmm.
not about the emails that are waiting for me at work, or if I left the oven on or something like that. So I think that is just something that I've learned over the years, to just allow myself to be completely absorbed in the music, and I think with the music that we play, that is the only way to really listen to it. I feel that, like, playing the songs live, it is something that completely absorbs me, and I do allow myself to sort of let go a lot more than I perhaps would do in a supermarket or something if somebody would come up and start talking to me. So
isn't that interesting how music can draw something so beautiful out of us? I really do appreciate that. Now, when it comes to writing, do you guys write as a band? Are you together just playing and letting things develop, or kind of how do you approach writing?
Most of the time it is like an idea can be sparked from anywhere, and then usually Yellow would start working on that. So he would start sort of putting together a kind of light guitar demo, and then we'd get Freddie in to drum a simple sort of rhythm on that. Yeah, sometimes Yellow has something in his head already that he just instructs Freddie to do, but yeah, Freddie is a very talented drummer who can come up with some crazy licks just off the top of his head. So I think that's where that sort of the chemistry combines to make the magic happen, I suppose, from just a silly little guitar melody or even like a melody hummed into an iPhone on the way to work or the gym or whatever. So that's where it really starts. We have a very small kind of home studio where we try to record everything in like demo sessions, and then we just start building up the layers from there, and then finally top it off with the vocals at the end.
So Yella, he's really a master of guitar tone, because particularly in this style of music, the tone of that lead guitar really kind of helps to set the tone for the entire piece. Does he have to work at really developing the tone he wants, or is it something that he's really quick at? Like, how does he develop the tone that he wants to create for a song?
He has the particular tone sort of in his head, I suppose, of what he wants to achieve, and I don't think I can count the number of pedals that have been switched out on his board since we started. We actually just we met up with some people from Walrus Effects in Dallas. We bought a lot of pedals from them. one of which has already made it on the board for tour.
Wow.
A very big thank you to Shirley from Walrus Effects for hooking us up with those pedals. So we're very excited to try them all out.
Now, in terms of your own musical journey, because you do something that I cannot do. I cannot play the bass and sing at the same time. I can play my guitar and sing all day long, but the minute I try to play a bass line, it's like I begin stuttering. The two things just don't work very well. But for yourself, did you start playing bass first, or did you start singing first?
I grew up with a Filipina mother. So music was always around, and I was always encouraged to sing and play guitar from a very young age. So I think my parents actually bought me a very, very small acoustic guitar before I could walk properly. Not that I can play guitar. My dad taught me sort of, the simple chords from a young age, and yeah, my mum was always singing around the house. We had a karaoke machine, one of the first ones. I was an only child, so I was very lonely and had nothing else to do. So after school, I would sometimes just switch on the karaoke machine and sing whatever was on there. As I mentioned earlier, I've always been quite shy, so to perform in front of a crowd was never really my huge interest. It was more just sort of singing to myself in my bedroom or our living room, right, or wherever. But then as soon as family members come over, then I would just shy away and crawl in a corner and hide from the karaoke machine. When I was about 15, I think, I got my first bass guitar, just because my girlfriends and we wanted to start a band. We were just getting into sort of heavier music, and it turned out that everyone can play guitar, but nobody can play bass, or nobody had a bass. So I thought, okay, I'll try it. I've been playing guitar for long enough, so I'll let the others do that, and I'll try something new. So that's where my bass journey began.
Well, that's cool. But just so you know, you and Paul McCartney had the same journey then, because when he got with the Beatles, everybody played guitar. Somebody had to play the bass. So you are the Paul McCartney of your band. Well, and don't let your bandmates forget that.
That's not too bad I'll take that as a compliment.
Yes, absolutely. Now, in terms of singing, in some of your earlier bands, were you singing in those bands, or were you primarily focused on your bass playing?
I was always the little girl with the big bass hiding behind the bass cab. So I was never singing, no. I left that for the people with the balls to do so. So yeah, Slow Crush was the first band that I ever sang in, and then in combination with playing bass, that was a huge sort of change in what I was used to. So yeah, I don't think I've ever been as nervous for a show as our first show as Slow Crush, but yeah, that the absorbing music helped me through that as well. I just switched everything off and then just focused on what I was doing on stage, and then forgot that there were people standing in the crowd. So
if you do happen to look out and see a face, is that a moment of, oh my goodness, or do you just not let yourself go there? Are you just really that focused in the moment, in the song, letting it kind of take over, so to speak?
I'll say that yes. Yeah, well, it depends what they're doing, of course.
I guess that's true. Fair enough.
There was one time where I did not let myself get so absorbed in the music, and that was because our sound guy was actually picking a fight with somebody in the crowd, and so that was the moment that I threw my bass on the floor and went after them. But other than that, yes, I'd say that I'm pretty absorbed in the music to notice what's happening out in the crowd.
Whoa. Is there video of this? I mean, wait, I've got to see this.
No. And I say our sound guy, it wasn't our personal sound guy, it was just the house guy. Yeah, the house guy in Poland somewhere.
Right. Let's listen to another song from Hush. You told me that I get to pick one, which I was so happy about. We're going to play the closing song on the album. We're going to listen to Benton Broken. Let's give it a listen. That's got to be a tiring song for the guitar player. It sounds to me like he's jamming single notes, that high note the whole time at a very high speed, or is that just a pedal effect that I'm hearing?
I
Do you know what I
think,
mean? There's like a
yeah, I think it is just strumming.
oh,
But
wow.
yeah, we haven't played that one for a while though. I would have to pay attention to the guitar players the next time we play it.
The lyric to the song is from the perspective of someone who seems to be, at least to me, calling for help. What inspired that? Where does that come from? Are you creating a character, or is this maybe from experience, maybe partially you've had or others have that you know? Where is the song birthed from?
When we were writing and recording the Hush album, it was just before the whole pandemic madness. Most of it had already been sort of written up, but then when the pandemic hit and when everyone was in lockdown, we could really focus on sort of finalizing everything and writing a couple more songs or building more of that story, connecting the songs together before hitting the studio, because we were actually planning to hit the studio, I think, that summer, the summer of 2020.
Okay.
But of course that couldn't happen, so we had a little bit more time, and Benton Broken was actually inspired by the George Floyd situation.
Now, how does a Belgian band with a British singer get noticed in the United States? Is it tough to break into the US market? I mean, but you guys have obviously you built a big enough audience to come and tour. How have you guys been able to do that to kind of grab the attention of people half a globe away?
That's the $1 million question. We don't know ourselves. We really honestly don't know, because I mean, we just released our first EPs, and immediately we kind of got interest from people in LA. So we already had part-time punks in LA contacting us, asking us to come out, and then the DKFM collaboration. So we had Greg from DKFM ask us to come out and play his festival Dreamgaze, and this was all when we just had like a 4-song EP released that was even sort of, it was recorded in my mind as a demo, I suppose, and just sort of shared around with some friends. So I think it was just really just passing it on to friends, and then friends passing it on to their friends, and then it sort of getting in circulation to reach the people who were really interested.
Out of curiosity, if you guys could tour with any band, maybe as as an opening act, who would you love to tour with?
That's a really hard question. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if I can really answer that, because it's sort of a kill your idol situation, right? You don't,
Yeah, yeah.
you don't want to sort of destroy the magic, I suppose. But I mean, I can just say, like, all the bands that we've toured with, like, along our journey, we've enjoyed every single minute of it, and we have made sort of lifelong friends. So I don't think there is like really a particular band that we're looking up to or really sort of pining to play with. We're all very, very nice people and easy to get along with. So we're just happy to play with everyone, I guess.
So as we come close to the end of our time here, tell us how people can best support Slow Crush.
So to support the band, you can check out our website, slowcrush.org, where you can find links to our Bandcamp page, where we have lots of nice t-shirts and vinyls and other exclusive items for sale. Brian will put the link
I will.
in
I'll
the
put the link in the
podcast.
bottom.
Of course, even better would be to come see us at a show sometime and pick up merch
Yes,
there,
yes.
or just be in the crowd and meet us in person afterwards. We're always hanging around by the merch table or anywhere else. I'm sure you'll be able to find us somewhere, and we really don't bite, so please come say hi.
The website is great, and you mentioned the Bandcamp page. There is lots of great music for people who don't know Bandcamp. It's a storefront basically, in a place for bands to connect directly with their audience. So highly encourage that, and all the links will be in the bottom. Okay, Issa, so before we go, we're going to play a little game of word association. So I'll say a word, then it might be a phrase. And you have to tell me the first thing that comes to mind. You can't overthink it, but it has to be the first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
I'm never ready, but it's okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Are you nervous?
You're
You're gonna do great. You're gonna do great.
Okay.
Okay. So the first word, candy.
So actually, I've not been eating a lot of candy on this tour. The only candy that we've had in the van are Twizzlers, but we've just been eating them to get rid of them because we don't like
Absolutely.
them too much. So Twizzlers, I suppose.
That's a good answer. Okay, next word, waffles.
Belgian, of course.
I know.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I had to.
Liège waffles,
had
they're
to.
the best waffles. But I'm vegans.
What
Liège. So waffles, there's a particular place in Belgium. In French, the name of the town is, or city is Liège, and in Dutch, the name of the city is Lurk. But the type of waffles that they bake in that town, I suppose, are the best. Definitely check out Liège waffles if you can ever find them.
Well, I'm gonna have to buy me a plane ticket and go try some of these. Okay, next word, beauty.
Black Beauty, the horse.
Oh, I like that. I like that. That one's more literal. I like that. Okay, here's your next one, music.
That's all we're doing right now, so it's hard because it's everywhere. But yeah, I mean, it's an embrace.
So here's the last one. It's a phrase. You have to tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Oh, never.
Okay. All right, here it is. Journey to the stage.
Try not to fall over the cables.
That is the wrong answer. You're supposed to say the greatest podcast ever.
Okay, let's do that again.
No, but I actually really love your answer because I've been backstage and seen cables everywhere, especially some people are great with cables, others are not, and they're always a tripping hazard for people that are not great with cables, so I can appreciate that.
Especially people who are not great with cables or platform heels. So that's why. But the second answer that comes to my mind is the greatest podcast of all time.
What? Oh, you're awesome. Okay, so Issa, I cannot thank you enough for accepting my invitation to join me today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Brian. And everyone check out Journey to the Stage.
Thank you so much for that. I hope continued success and growing a fan base for the band, and I hope the rest of your trip is great and wish you guys safe travels.
If you're able to swing by another gig anytime, then just let us know and we'll stick you on the guest list.
Very kind of you guys. I appreciate that. And thank you everybody for listening. If you've enjoyed my chat with the beautiful and talented Isa Holliday, share this with your friends on social media so they can hear the great music of Slow Crush and get to know this podcast a little bit. You can check out my website at journeytothestage.com. I will join you on our next Journey to the Stage. For Jordan and Rachel Golding, that's a wrap.